A millimeter pattern covers all floors. It's like a giant cutting mat. I'm just expecting to see these people now just get cut to pieces with a little cutting knife. Some student just starts gluing them all together with some sticky glue. It's been a long day. This is project 241. Project 241. So the next project, Crystal Hill. You know, when I squint here, it sort of blends into the entire image. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So for example, if I'm just, this actually feels like a strange continuation of the park in behind. But then it means that there's something funky sort of happening with the perspective where it almost looks like it's all flat. So there is something funny, Escher-like about this image where the perspective is a little bit kind of off. The perspective is kind of off in the sense that these two guys here just seem to be kind of mashed together with this little light box popping up. But, you know, I'm not going to stick on that too much. So the Crystal Hill is a tribute to Helsinki. Okay. Again, basically, it looks like we have a green roof and a roof that can be sort of occupied by the public. There looks to be this meandering path above, I'm assuming, the museum itself. So let's go to the next image, the manifest. Nice image here. Yep. Yep. Essentially, it's a big hill. Big hill, or should I say, it's a big museum with a big hill built on top of it. It's not a particularly fresh concept. I mean, we've seen a lot of versions of this so far, but I do like the quality of the images and the diagrams. And again, this is quite nice. I don't know if I like how kind of, sort of like it's in this like half pipe thing, and it's been filled in with like landscaping. Although this image down here, it sort of works. Not sure if I like the big lens flare happening here. The lettering and the signage, though, on the ground is interesting. A millimeter pattern covers all floors. It's like a giant cutting mat. I'm just expecting to see these people now just get cut to pieces with a little cutting knife. Some student just starts gluing them all together with some sticky glue. It's been a long day. Nice photographs. Oh, that's it. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's okay. I've seen it before. The quality of the images are nice. The quality of the presentation is nice. I don't think I particularly love it overall. There's nothing about it that's super memorable. A lot of these ones all just kind of blend in together. So that's not the fault of the architect. It's just, you know, it's more to do with a competition that has over 600 entries. So, gonna move it along. Next one. Another green roof, although this is pretty flat and looks a little bit like a golf course, and it looks like it's literally made out of sort of cardboard or something. It's so thin, which is interesting. And then we have this really interesting sort of public gallery colonnade underneath it, so I want to see more. I might come back to this page. It's an interesting image for sure, a little bit difficult to read. But I find this quite interesting in a way where it's quite difficult to understand what's inside and what's outside. We have this sort of giant kind of opening through the building from this point of view. But then we also have this like stair that starts outside and looks like it flows inside. Then we have this kind of intense screen, and then we have this little thin piece, and then these two chunky columns. And there's like another little opening inside this opening, and another little sort of outdoor stairway gallery that looks like it's actually half semi-enclosed. I guess what I'm getting at here is I quite like the concept of this loose distinction between inside and outside, but I'm curious to see how it sort of develops in a practical sense. Yeah, again, like this is kind of cool. So, what I'm sort of seeing here is this kind of open air gallery space, foyer, lobby type thing. Which I love as an idea, but I have to kind of be real about it. The practicalities of this, I don't know how this would actually work. I mean, you're imagining that this part of the site will be pretty intense from a climate point of view. I mean, this is a beautiful sunny summer's day, but I could imagine this being soaking wet and cold and this model being blown over. And I understand that there's some sort of type of protection here. But I just sort of mean, I'm trying to kind of find the balance between appreciating an architectural concept, but then applying that concept to, a version of reality. And that's sort of where this project might fall apart. From a presentation point of view, the quality of this image is fantastic. It's always great to actually see architectural models in a visualization of an architectural museum. I feel like we just have not seen enough of that, particularly what looks to be, I'm not sure what that project is. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the Flatiron Building in New York. I'm not sure why you would have sort of an American architectural reference inside a Finnish museum of architecture. I don't know, but maybe it's a building that is Finnish that I'm not familiar with. In any case, is this a scale issue here with the furniture? That was a joke. That was a joke. This is a cool image. It looks like a cool project. Don't understand this page. Yeah, absolutely do understand this reference. That's all good. What am I getting at? I like it. It doesn't feel like it would be appropriate though for this climate in this context is what I'll take away from it. And I don't like that green roof. But it's a cool project. Spatially, I think it's interesting and exciting. So I'll leave it there. Moving on to the next one. Oof. Ugh. Yeah, lens flare, not a fan of. And then generally, this looks a bit sort of wonky, like some sort of, I don't know, it's like it's been wrapped in paper and made out of cocktail sticks. I don't know. I always find it interesting when architects sort of mix multiple art styles in their images. We have this like photorealistic 3D model. We have what looks to be like a photograph. We have this lens flare thing happening here. And then we have this like watercolor effect on the rest of the image, which is sort of distracting. I know it's not an art competition, it's an architecture competition, but the way in which you artistically communicate your ideas is a big part of architecture, in my opinion. So let's talk about what is here. It doesn't look that interesting or resolved. It actually looks a little bit unstable and a little bit dull. I'm looking at the sort of black grayish nature of the facade. Let's move on to the next image. Text. Again, yeah, this does sort of confirm. I don't, why is she looking at me? This is strange. What's going on with the birds? It's a bit of a mixed thing altogether, isn't it? This feels sort of over-articulated, almost over-engineered, unnecessarily so. For example, I don't understand what the project is sort of gaining by having so many fussy structural elements that are exposed on the facade. This canopy feels out of place. I don't really understand what the idea is here other than to build this giant sort of gas holder-like structure where people sort of, I don't know, stare at photographers all day and there's birds everywhere. Okay, I don't understand what this is. This is feeling super uncanny valley, like I've sort of accidentally walked into a broken Photoshop file from 2008 where, I don't know, we've got 3D models and what is the idea behind the arrangement of these fixtures and what are they? This is creepy. I don't like it. You know what it reminds me of? I'm sorry, I'm really bashing these guys. I'm not really having much of a conversation about the architecture here because I'm so fixed on the images. This reminds me of one of those sort of "Are you a robot?" tests where you're trying to sign into your Gmail or something and it like wants to verify your identity. So it shows you this image and it's like, can you identify the humans in the image? And then you go to click on like the human and then you're like, actually, wait a minute, I don't know if that is a human. That's a bit weird. Like, what is this? Or, find all five of the objects that have something in common and you look and you're like, actually, none of it sort of makes sense. And like, what is this reflection? Is this a coffee table? Is this chair on top of that coffee table? Like, what is happening in this image? It's really distressing and I'm really concerned just by looking at it. So I'm just going to quickly move on to the next one. Yeah, diagram. Yeah, don't like this project at all. Can just say that confidently. Don't like it. I don't think it will win. I'm sure you worked hard on it. Don't think you worked that hard on this image, but moving it along. This looks awesome. This is refreshing to see. I love this so far from what I'm seeing. Maybe this looks a little bit fussy, giant external stare, but let's see. Was there text here? No, no text. No text. Okay, diagrams. I love the little cutting graphic. Fantastic. So again, they've sort of occupied the footprint of the site. They've created this sort of public landscape with viewpoints here and here. Then they've sort of infilled this sort of landscape with a little bit of massing, a suspended museum, and then they've enclosed it with this wooden structure, and then they have protected the structure with this really elegant glass skin. These 6 images are 10 out of 10. They are fantastic. I mean, I love it when I don't really have to ask any questions in that, like, okay, so what was the idea here? All right, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the data and information underneath it to complement it. Fantastic use of a second page. We need to see more pages like this one. Now, I'm not saying what's here is perfect. I don't know, but it looks good so far. So that, with this, you have my attention, looking very good. Image 3, the sort of mandatory views. It's interesting to see how it works within the context of, you know, Helsinki, but it's not actually giving me a whole lot architecturally. That's not a criticism of the images or the project, it's just kind of the requirements of having these 2 images. They very often don't actually win or lose the project, in my opinion, these 2 together that are in almost all of the presentations. Okay, I think the quality of this image from an artistic point of view is a little bit underwhelming, but I do think there is a quality in this space. It's very exciting. I mean, the space itself looks really exciting. Like, I'm really curious like what this sort of undercroft is, the way in which you sort of have this level above, you sort of have this like sunken space here that could be used for galleries and exhibitions maybe that are kind of not permanent. I don't like the stair. I do like the way you can see the city from below. That's interesting. I can't stand these shared stairs that we see in most of these images. There is something also a little bit uncanny valley about the quality of this image. I mean, the foreground has almost nothing in it. And if we look at this from a compositional point of view, I mean, you're looking at literally the bottom third of the angle has nothing. Like, and when you look at it in terms of the entire page is one image, and the whole bottom third of that image has nothing in it, then that means an entire third of one of your pages, which is 1/5 of your entire presentation. Whoa, skipping ahead, mid-rant, you're just giving me nothing. So I don't know, sometimes I like to look at things in that kind of granular level of detail, like every piece of your presentation should be giving information to someone who is looking at your project, in my opinion. But I'm getting a little bit caught up on that. But let's look at what is here. I don't think the color of the image, the tone, the mood of it generally is giving me much. And maybe that kind of makes me question a little bit of the other stuff. Like, for example, is this actually like an LED screen? It looks like it's lit up, or it's like translucent, or maybe the idea is that the activity behind the screen is actually emitting light. I don't know. Yeah, like this is like a little lantern down here. I always love it when you've got these really beautiful structural facades that are sort of kind of, they really pop with this like kind of lantern effect with the, you know, the rooms in behind it. Okay, what's left to say? I like this image. I love this image. These are what they are. This is a bit underwhelming. And in the references, yep, makes sense. I think this is good. I think my biggest takeaway from this one is I'm not a big fan really of, maybe, again, I always refer to it as artistry. Like, it just needs a little bit of creativity in the quality of the images to really sell it. I mean, just vibe this thing up a bit more. It looks like an exciting space, but it's not really an exciting image. I think that's my takeaway. But I think this is good work. Gonna move it along. Next one, okay, we got these 3 little pitched structures here. Two of them look to be solid. One of them is a bit lighter, a bit more permeable. The granary is traditionally a communal storehouse of firm build for goods of values to the village. Yep, the modern stores the objects, documenting the rich history of Finnish design. Gonna move it along a little bit. Really nice images here. It's funny. 1, 2, 3, 4 are great. I sort of wish I could see a diagram from the same point of view, just better explaining. I mean, I guess that is what this is, to be fair. It's just, it would be nice to sort of, you know what, actually, I'm going to retract that. I was going to say, These look great. It would be nice to see how they all work together, but I've already seen how they all work together, so it sort of answers the question backwards, I guess. Next one. Giant gable here feels a little bit unwelcoming in a way, at least compared to this one, where the scale is sort of broken up by the articulation of the panels and the ribs, and there's a bit more depth and playfulness with this one. But it is nice to have the balance. I guess you do have the 1, 2, 3, so you kind of have the sort of three pitches are all characterized with a different treatment on the facade. You know, this isn't that, this is quite nice. I mean, it's a nice image for a start. It's quite a nice project, I think. There's a lot of variety and flavor in it. Beautiful interior. It's a bit dark. You know what? I'm going to go out here and say this. If something like this were to win, I'd probably understand it. Now, I can't obviously, I can't talk about whether or not a project is appropriate or not for Helsinki. I'm not Finnish, I'm not from Helsinki, but there is something about this project that looks like it has a winning quality. It looks sort of buildable. It looks sincere. It looks like I would, you know, a place that I would visit. It might not be loud and sort of annoying like a lot of other potential winners can often be. It just sort of looks good. And I mean, I use that word intentionally. Like it just looks solid. It looks good. This looks like a good project. I could absolutely see this being shortlisted, even though there's really nothing in any individual image that like screams winner. It just looks like a very nice, competent, interesting project. The way that it plays with materials, the way that it plays with form, the way that it plays with space. This looks really good. You know what I kind of like about it, and maybe someone will correct me. There's something very non-pretentious about this project. It's sort of very much showing its hand in like an image like this, a page like this. It's like, this is what it is. It is what it is. This is how it will work together. This is how it will be on the inside. You know, like the images themselves give away the sort of you know, the technical logic of the project too, in that you can just sort of almost see how it's built simply by looking at it. It doesn't actually raise a lot of questions. Nice little final page here. I really like this, yeah, I have to say. Yeah, I think this is a good project. So let's go through. There's a social house, spaces for gathering. Public house, the public provides a dramatic special project space for changing installations open to visitors free of charge. That's a nice idea. Tower house, strong timber bones and delicate glass skin. The tower house is the programmatic backbone of the institution. Yeah, so like all four elements are sort of volumetrically unique, but they're all sort of stitched together, not only physically in this little cluster here, but also aesthetically in the use of what looks to be, is it a copper cladding? What is the external skin? Is it aluminium? Recycled natural copper, yeah, mass timber. Wonderful. I think this is a great little project. Well done. Yeah, love it. Yep, gonna move it along. Well done. Big fan of this project. Next one, this is a moody little swoopy glass box boy, like we have seen quite a few of with a green roof. A little bit of a tiny alto reference here, alto vase reference, not sure if it's accurate. Next image. The diagrams look nice, but they're not telling me an awful lot. For example, I'm just looking at this from, you know, 1,000 feet. Don't really know what's what. Here again, don't really know what's what. Here again, don't know what's what. 3 reference images. Yep, this helps. Okay, so if this is going to be this, that's kind of exciting. I think that can be beautiful. I do love a little bit of glass block. Is that what it is? Yeah, the blocks are mounted with rounded corners. It's beautiful. Reminds me of that recent, I don't know how recent it is, that Renzo piano project. And maybe I'll show the reference in here. Looks very good. Yeah, I don't know. The interior, I mean, as far as the lobby goes, looks nice. But when I see the kind of facade treatment from the inside, it looks a little bit dated. Very 80s, 1980s maybe. Again, too, I never enjoy it when the sort of ceiling soffit is different from what the kind of rest of the interior lining is, especially when it's something like board marked concrete, which has a thickness and a weight. For it to just sort of be undercut by this like skim of random plaster just feels a bit dull and disappointing, in my opinion. Gonna move it on to the next image. References again. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so what do we have here? Looks fine. Not a good page. Looks interesting, no doubt about it. It's a bit underwhelming. References. I think this is fine. I think there's a really good project here. I just think it needs a bit more. So maybe the additional images that I don't have access to would give me that. So, but I can only talk about what's here. And what's here is a little bit interesting, but ultimately underwhelming. But I do think it's good. I'm not saying that as a disclaimer on every project, by the way. Like, there are bad projects, no doubt about it, and I'll call it out if I see one. But I don't think this is bad. I think it's okay. It just needs, I need a bit more information to make a really good, call on it. So I'm going to move it on. Next one. Ooh la la. Beautiful sketch. The scheme is composed of two main elements, a powerful curved exhibition hall combined with a loggia encircling a forest garden. Oh, blue ink is stunning. Oh, this is all actually been drawn. Holy crap, that's good. Right, okay. So I feel like I've been sort of crying out for this type of submission since I started this exercise of reviewing 623 different projects. And I've been sort of screaming out that not enough architects are kind of communicating through sketch. But these guys, they look to, yeah, they're only communicating through sketch, which is bold, brave, amazing, exciting, refreshing. But I must try to not be seduced by the sketches and actually assess what is here from an architectural point of view. So, okay, let's just get this out of the way fast. I love this presentation. Top marks, love this presentation. But let's try and see if we can, let's see how effective it is, and let's see if we can decipher what's actually here. So, okay, this is obviously the building, the project. There's some text that accompanies the sketches. That's wonderful. That's very helpful in this instance. In this instance, the text is helpful. Two centers. The scheme is composed of two main elements, a curved exhibition hall and a loggia. This section is beautiful. See, I would just argue that a CAD model or a 3D model doesn't generate a section like that. It just doesn't. It doesn't. Like, a sketch can generate a section like that. I mean, even just like the idea that this has just been sort of sketched with like an arm movement is so expressive. Maybe the architects who've made this are watching this and they're laughing because they've sketched over a 3D model, but I still stand by it. I argue that you cannot generate this type of space through a 3D model. I'm happy to have that out in the comments with people who disagree. I have to be honest, I mean, again, too, like the way that you've sort of got the solid and the void here. So you've got this beautiful section here. This space looks like a light well. I'm already imagining how that might work and how it might not work. But then it also sort of responds quite well to the plan. We're imagining this is the same space. So what else have we got? The building embraces the landscape in the city. Everyone does say that. Some interesting little diagrams here. The forest garden is in the shape of an ellipse. An ellipse has two centers, and it's a little bit intellectual. Elevation. What's it made out of? Again, same sketch. Stunning sketch. Same one. Beautiful interior sketch. It's like you've got the boats on the inside. The shape and volume of the exhibit hall is intended to be strong and cohesive yet supple. Supple. The volume is intended to be powerful yet abstract, such as that any kind of exhibit would not be out of place and large enough to display a small historic barn. Diagrams. Okay, you know what I'm going to say? I think it's amazing to see a submission that is entirely sort of structured with sketches on napkins. They're beautiful. incredibly artistic, wonderful to look at, but only tell me a little bit of the full picture, and I need more. So I guess what I'm getting at is, if it was like, let's say you had 4 weeks to put together a submission. If you showed me this in week one, I'd be thinking, oh, this is going to be an amazing project. Now, I don't know what's in the rest of the submission, so I can only base it on these 5 images. But if you showed me this in week one, I'd be like, oh, this is going to be awesome. If you show me the same thing in week two, I would say, yeah, but it's awesome, but like I need to see you develop this. And then you come back to me in week three and you show me the sketches again. Then I'm going to start getting concerned that you're just sort of unwilling to move out of that sort of concept development stage. And then when it comes to week four, the week for submission, and you show me the same thing again, I'm going to say, what have you done for 4 weeks? And what I'm saying, there's a possibility that this is a fully designed building and they've decided to just include sketches for the first 5 pages. But I can't make that assumption. So all I can actually assume looking at this is that these architects have made these wonderful, beautiful architectural sketches, but they don't sort of give me enough to be confident that you'd be able to deliver an incredible building. But it's a gamble for sure. From a presentation point of view, it's wonderful, and I'm a big fan. But I think from an architectural point of view, I mean, this interior looks nice here. Looks like we sort of have some, is it like a canal in here? These are all fantastic. The section's wonderful, but I have no sense of materiality. I have no sense of how it would actually look and how it would feel, which is information I think I would need if I was judging this proper, you know, if I was like on the jury. So I guess that's sort of my takeaway. Wonderful presentation, incredible sketches. I want more. I want more info, more detail. So I'm going to have to leave it there. As fantastic and as enjoyable as this presentation was to look at, I need more. So I'm going to move it along. Ugh. Sorry, that's not your fault, Nordic Blueprint. It's just, I just come from these like incredible little sketches and now I'm sort of back in CGI land. Okay, you've made something here out in the harbour. Interesting. We have these curved volumes and then we have these spinning discs. Saucers, I guess. I don't know. Moving on. Moving on. It's not giving me a lot. What is your project? I don't love it. I don't think it's going to be a winner. I don't understand it. Like I can't get it just from looking at these images quite quickly. I'm a bit underwhelmed. I don't think it's bad. I'm just not in love with it. Gonna move it along. Next one, Betula, nested between an elevated birch garden and the observatory hill. A primal silhouette within a vibrant, translucent envelope, the new museum stands as a welcoming house celebrating design as a shared cultural legacy. I do like this little curving swoop here. Zenith light. Nice images. Nice image. Really interesting image. I'd like to think this is made out of wood and not concrete, but the quality of the image leaves it a little bit unclear. I also don't fully understand it. Like, how do these sort of columns meet the roof? I love the sort of 60s style collage aesthetic here, which is very cool. It's a bit of a noisy page. I think this is interesting. I understand it. It's like they're like trees or something, like birch. I get it. I just don't have an awful lot to say about it more than this. Landscape, museum, garden. An experience of Helsinki. It's harbour, climate elements. Yeah. Architectural framework equals tree canopy. I don't know. I'm hoping they're made out of wood, right? Because they look like they're made out of plaster or render here. It's just a little bit unclear, but I'm being picky. I think there's a nice idea here. I think there's an interesting project from a formal point of view. I'm a big fan of this little sprawling swoop, this little canopy over here, which is quite nice. I worry about wind here into this space. It looks nice, quality of the image is good, presentation's good. I don't know if it'll be shortlisted. It's not like my favorite project, but I think it's good work. So, good work, Betula, good work, I like it. Moving it along, next one. Understanding the city as material repository of which it is built, the museum as repository of architecture and design, and so on. It's a long sentence. This reminds me a little bit of, is it 157? Volumetrically, it reminds me a little bit of that. I think the quality of this image is a little bit less exciting. This feels quite industrial. A lot of glass and metal, just from looking at it here. Don't like it when the second image sort of opens with images like this. This looks really nice though. Reduce. To reach Helsinki's climate goals, we have set to avoid whatever is not fundamentally necessary, reducing the museum's material and energy consumption along several trajectories. Okay, that's very good. Good opening statement. Form, technology, groundwork, physical model, love it. Lighting mast. Is that necessary? Interior looks really nice. Don't know if you need a spiral stair so close to like the double stair here, but section. Oh, a little cute model. This is awesome. Little foam boy. The section does look quite simple, very buildable. There's a clear module here. Yeah, there is. I mean, I see that. Sorry. I see this image and I see this image and I see these and I'm like, yeah, I do like it. I do like it. My concern is what it will actually look like. Do you know, like, I mean, this image is very seductive. It's very nice. Like, I love, there's a really nice texture to the quality of the facade here. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense from an elevational point of view, but I have a worry it'll just look like an old kind of ferry port docking warehouse or something. And I know you could say, well, how you went crazy about, what was the number? I can't remember. There was like a project on the last one. I think it was like 223. The one that was like the black charred timber that referenced the old warehouses from the docks, from the harbour. But they sort of translated that typology into something that felt hyper architectural. These guys might be doing that as well, but it's less exciting in a way. And I understand that's because there seems to be a really strong emphasis on doing as little as possible. I mean, reduce, so as to allow kind of Helsinki to reach its climate goals, which is fair enough. But I don't know. I mean, the interior is fantastic. I mean, there are buildings that do this that can create wonderful spaces. I like the simplicity of the section. You know what? I do actually like this. I like this project. Yeah, so the idea is what they would reuse timber or steel frames. Reuse of cut concrete slabs, that's fantastic. Reuse of lightweight facade panels. You know what? I love this. I think it's nice to see projects that are actually serious about trying to be somewhat sustainable. So I'm going to give good marks to this one. Reuse, what number are we on? I'm not sure at the minute, but I like this a lot. So I probably will come back to this one, talk about it some more. Good job. Okay, going to have to leave it there. We're moving onwards. Let me know what you think. What were your favorites? What did you like? What did you not like? Like, comment, subscribe. Let's keep chatting. Another episode down. Thanks again. All the best. Goodbye.